The Titanic vanished into the depths of the Atlantic in just 2 hours and 40 minutes. This wasn't merely fate's cruel twist. It was the worst maritime disaster in history. Of the 2,200 passengers and crew, over 1,500 lost their lives in the frigid sea. A marvel of cutting-edge technology at the time, it collapsed with astonishing swiftness. Yet, in truth, this failure harbored systemic causes that continue to repeat even today. Why did the unsinkable ship, boasting the world's finest technology, fail to avert the danger directly before it? In this video, you will learn why overconfidence clouded judgment, who overlooked what crucial details, and what timeless lessons this historic tragedy imparts to modern society. Let us now delve into the full scope of the Titanic's collapse. The main feature also provides a detailed explanation of the radio communications just prior to the accident. In 1912, the White Star Line constructed the colossal ocean liner, Titanic. It stood as a testament to the pinnacle of human ingenuity and technology. Measuring 269 meters long and 53 meters high, its sheer size was exceptional even for structures of its era. It boasted a luxury so immense it was dubbed a floating palace. Equipped with cutting-edge technologies like a double-bottomed hull and watertight compartments, many people unequivocally believed the Titanic to be unsinkable. On April 10, 1912, it embarked on its maiden voyage from Southampton, England, bound for New York. The world's attention was fixed upon this ship of the century. The captain was Edward J. Smith, a veteran of the White Star Line. This final voyage on a luxury liner was meant to be the crowning achievement of his career. Owner Bruce Ismay believed this ship would dominate the North Atlantic route and further elevate his company's glory. It was a prelude to overconfidence. The Titanic was not merely a ship. It was the embodiment of the Industrial Revolution's triumph, a symbol of the affluent, and a dream manifesting humanity's boundless potential. Everything appeared perfect. Everyone believed no threat could possibly exist for this unsinkable Leviathan. This very belief in its invincibility would later prove its undoing. The voyage was smooth. The Titanic glided majestically across the calm Atlantic at nearly its top speed of 40 kilometers per hour. Passengers enjoyed lavish meals, reveled in dances, and anticipated new lives aboard the opulent ship. It was truly a dream voyage. In the wireless room, the Marconi radio was constantly in operation. Crew members exchanged communications with other ships and received weather reports, seemingly ensuring the voyage's safety. At 9 a.m. on April 14th, the Titanic received its first iceberg warning from a nearby vessel. Yet, this information was disregarded. This simple warning, "Beware of icebergs," reached the bridge but was not given particular importance. The myth of the unsinkable ship held sway. The wireless operators were swamped processing private telegrams from passengers. At the time, radio was a status symbol for the wealthy, and communication fees were a valuable source of income. Even as night fell, the Titanic did not reduce its speed. Both Captain Smith and Ismay underestimated the danger, despite approaching an ice-laden region. Everything was proceeding smoothly. This conviction would become the decisive trigger for the tragedy to come. Everyone believed, it will be fine. However, repeated iceberg warnings continued to arrive from multiple ships. In the evening, the most specific warning came from the Californian. "We are surrounded by icebergs." This urgent message was also cut off by the Titanic's wireless operator, dismissed as an annoyance. The failure for the warning to reach the bridge was due to a breakdown in wireless prioritization. Passenger telegrams were prioritized over safety. Captain Smith harbored a strong desire to conclude his final voyage in the best possible way. Maintaining speed and arriving in New York on schedule was prioritized above all else. The myth of the unsinkable ship paralyzed the crew's sense of urgency. A collective mindset of "everything will be fine" blinded them to dangerous signs. Furthermore, the lookout's binoculars remained locked away in storage. Had they been available, the iceberg might have been spotted minutes earlier. Small oversights, overconfidence, and communication failures. Each of these became a precursor, sending the gears of fate wildly off track. But here, an unseen pitfall yawned open. The Titanic was already hurtling towards an uncontrolled rampage, unable to halt itself by its own will. Why couldn't the Titanic stop? Underlying this was a complex interplay of organizational psychology and the technological limitations of the era. Captain Smith was fixated on completing his final voyage without incident. A dishonorable delay or accident was unacceptable at the culmination of his esteemed career. Multiple iceberg warnings arrived, but their significance was not properly communicated to those in charge on the bridge. Information hierarchy and distortion obscured the crisis. There was no clear chain of command between the wireless operators and the bridge, and a shared understanding for assessing the severity of warnings was absent. It was a true information gap. The rudder of the time was massive, making it exceedingly difficult to swiftly alter the course of a colossal ship moving at high speed. The time to avoid collision was simply too short. For the organization, stopping a voyage with such immense investment and expectations was not an option. The so-called Concorde effect was in play. The shared belief in an unsinkable ship led to underestimating danger signals and fostered groupthink. No one was willing to imagine the worst-case scenario. Overconfidence, disregard for information, organizational pressure, and technological limitations. All these factors intricately intertwined, making it impossible to stop the Titanic. At 11:40 p.m. on April 14, 1912, lookouts spotted a colossal iceberg directly ahead. Just 37 seconds later, the Titanic collided with it. Immediately after the collision, chaos erupted on board. However, in the initial stages, few understood the full extent of the damage. The assumption of an unsinkable ship hindered calm judgment. As the ship began to list, the myth of unsinkability finally crumbled. Lifeboats were prepared, but they could accommodate less than half of the total passengers and crew. At 12:45 a.m., the first lifeboat was lowered. The wireless operators then continuously sent SOS signals, but they never reached the closest rescue ship, the Californian. At 2:20 a.m., the Titanic broke in half and completely sank into the depths of the Atlantic. The screams of people echoed through the freezing dark night. This tragedy is by no means merely a story of the past. From the Titanic's failure, we can learn universal lessons in modern organizational management and crisis response. Excessive confidence dulls judgment, and disregarding information leads to fatal outcomes. Furthermore, communication breakdowns within organizations exact a price far greater than imagined. The Titanic teaches us how hubris and overconfidence can corrupt human judgment. The unsinkable myth ironically proved its own fragility. Disregarding iceberg warnings, inadequate radio communication, and overlooked binoculars, we must understand that seemingly minor errors can lead to catastrophic consequences. Modern society, too, is exposed to overconfidence in new technologies and systems, and to a flood of information. The lessons of the Titanic remain pertinent today. History repeats itself. By not turning away from the Titanic's tragedy, but by understanding the true essence of its failure, we can pave the way for future safety. There is a difference in the quality of decision-making between those who know this failure and those who do not. We must engrave history's lessons upon our hearts and continue forward.